Welcome back to my High Plains life. I'm Danielle, your hostess. It is November 16th, and this is episode 34. I have a lot of finished objects to show you. I talked about most of them last time, only now I'm getting photos of them today, and then they will be finished, and up on my Ravelry project pages. So let's get to it. To begin with, on the needles, I have a bunch of FOs. As you can tell, and I talked about it last time, I am wearing my Lemongrass by Joji Locatelli, and this is made out of Cascade Yarns Cloud. I think it's on my Ravelry project page. It's an alpaca wool blend. It is very warm. So warm, I might take it off in a little bit after I show it to all you guys. I'm not normally a turtleneck person. I'm more of a scoop or V-neck because I have a short neck. I'm short all over, so. But this isn't too high. It's loose, so it's pretty comfortable. And this puppy's gonna keep me warm. And also it's not itchy. That's another thing that always bothered me about turtlenecks is they were generally itchy and I'd always have to wear something else underneath them anyway. So what was the point? Alpaca, not itchy. So I'm really loving it. I got the sleeves the right length. It's a little bit longer than I wish it was. And that's simply because it is alpaca, and I know it's going to stretch a little, but I love it. The button is really high, and the pattern only called for one button. And I'm going to add 2 more. So, it's not completely finished. I went back to Joann's, and I could not find the exact same buttons. Of course, I threw the cardboard away, so I can't find the number. So I just have to keep going back to Joann's. But I love it. And this, yeah, it's warm. It's not quite sweater weather yet. Maybe outside without a jacket, but not in my house. So I'm just going to take this off. It was a wonderful knit. I've already mentioned this. Easy, pattern was great. A little bit of interest in the cable. Interesting construction. I thoroughly enjoyed this knit. So that is my Lemongrass by Joji Locatelli. Sorry, my phone. And I knit this for the Joji Fall Knit Along. And I also knit my Ley Lines shawl for that. And I got that in. I showed it to you last week. It is currently blocking, so then I'll get photos and it'll be up on the Ravelry page, etc. My works in progress include my Celestarium by Audrey Nichols, and I am about 58% complete on this now. I have gone into the second skein of yarn, and dog hair gets knit into everything I own, period. Okay, so I'm on the second skein of yarn, and because I don't have a big enough cable, I can't open it up for you, but as you can see, my scoop bag is bigger. So I'm about on row 156, 157, and my constellations just continue to grow. So it's fun. I enjoy it. I can't really do it at Knit Group. It's a lot of charts and every row is different, so I have to count. And so it's not really something I can do while watching TV either. So it's getting slow but steady work on it. And I'm still enjoying it. So I get a thrill every time I add a new bead. I'm like, oh, another star. Because I'm a geek. We all knew that. You all knew that already. So since I found off 2 of my projects, of course I had to cast on some new ones. So I cast on, this is called the Beer Mitt by Toby Roxanne Barna. I'm using some leftovers Sensations Lustrous Lamb. It's an acrylic wool blend. I made my sister a shawl. She asked for it and she wanted this yarn, so I made her a shawl in it. And so I'm doing my Beer Mitt glove. It is, let's show you a picture. Basically, it's a beer mitt and a koozie in one. Genius! I had intended to knit this for the Air Force Army football game because we always tailgate. And so, of course, Air Force blue, and I got this far. And then I got confused on the instructions. But it's a free pattern, so you can't complain because it's free. This person did all the work and put it out there, and I'm just following along. So some of the people who did the project explain things a little better. So basically, I need to connect these, graft these together, and then continue knitting the mitt. Yay! And then you knit the bottom on it to hold your beer or soda if you're that type. Obviously, I did not get it finished in time for the game. So maybe next year when we play Navy. Woo! And then they'll be like, is it blue for Navy? No, I'm going to have to like embroider AF on it or something. So I still like that idea. Although obviously since I missed the game, it does not have the priority any of my other projects do. I'm not going to be tailgating. In the winter, we don't really hang out on our back deck. If it's too cold, there's not really another need for a beer mitt. So, but I cast on something else. And I'm loving this. I've just been really happy with a lot of the knits that I've chosen recently. They have worked well with the yarns. They are just the right amount of interest and easy. And they've just all been making me really happy recently. So that's a good thing, right? This is my campside shawl by Alicia, sorry I dropped my yarn, Plummer, Alicia Plummer. And I won't show you that. I'll try and get you just the picture. There's a better one on the project page, but my printer was running out of colored ink, so I got the small. I am using, what am I using? Yarn. I'm using Classic Elite Yarns in soft linen, which is 30% baby alpaca, 35% wool, and 35% linen. So for only being 35% linen, it really feels like linen. It's not super soft, but I am counting on it, the alpaca, blooming once I block it, wash and block it. Counting on it blooming and getting softening up a little. It's not rough, it's just, you know, is a little bit of linen. Also because I use the recommended size 7 needles versus the 5 recommended by the yarn. I should have done 6s because my yarn overs are just a little big, the holes, but I didn't do a swatch. It's a shawl. Okay, so here's my campsite. Which way is the front? It has dog hair. Here's the front. And again, I'm loving it. Starts out simple, you know, mostly stockinette with a couple yarn overs. You go through the charts, the yarn overs increase, everything's staggered. It's beautiful. It's gonna block out beautifully. Hopefully the alpaca will bloom a little, soften it up, and just make my gauge look a little better. It's not enough to redo it. Like, it's gonna be fine. Love it. Don't know who I'm knitting it for. I have a lot of shawls. So I don't know if I'll make this a Christmas present, and if so, to who? I don't know. So if any of my friends are watching this and you love this blue and an alpaca wool linen blend, holler and it might be yours. So this is stash yarn, and I picked this yarn to match the pattern because I had the correct yardage. I was looking for something in the right weight with the right yards that would fit something in my queue. And so I had just enough if I used the navy for the body and then this steel gray, steel blue, what color is it called? It's given a number. For the edge ribbing. I have 2 skeins of this, and I think that'll be fine. It's only like a 2-3 inch rib on the end. Body, edging, I think it'll be a beautiful combination. And that gets rid of yarn in my stash that's been in my stash for a while. I also didn't have enough of it to do anything else with. You know, it wasn't enough for a sweater. It was not yarn for socks or, you know, something small amount. So this just worked out perfectly with the pattern matching up with the yarn. I have been trying to match up a lot more of my stash yarn with patterns in my queue. And multiple reasons. As you know, I've got a lot of acquisitions recently, which I don't need because I have a lot of yarn. It's yarn that I bought without projects in mind, so that I was just like, oh, it's on sale, let's buy it. Or, oh, I love this skein, let's buy it. And it isn't really matching up with any projects to do for it, so it ends up sitting in my stash. I'm trying to solve that problem. So I've been going through my queue recently and trying to match up yarns in my stash that will go with the projects. And yardage and weight, seeing if I have enough yardage, if I redo the math for a different weight yarn. And I have discovered I don't have a single sweater quantity of yarn. I have close to, but not quite. At least not for the size that I need to knit and the specific projects that I want to do. So my next acquisition is going to be a sweater quantity of yarn. Of course, a sweater. I have multiple sweaters in my queue that I would like to knit next. And I'm hoping I get a gift card for Christmas. Because even on sale, a sweater quantity of yarn for me, about 2,200 yards, is going to be a lot of money. So, in the meantime, again, I'm trying to use from my stash. And I have quantities that are close to a sweater quantity. Like if I did a vest, it would work. Or a very fitted cardigan, it might work. So I'll have to find patterns that they'll match up with. But in the meantime, I am seeing how I can combine yarns to work together on patterns that I like. So this is my campsite shawl. Sorry, as I blather on. What other works in progress? That's pretty much it that I'm currently knitting on. I've done a couple of rows on a sock, but it's a sock, not worth showing. I have been stocking, as I mentioned, sweaters. It is November. Nanny Swimo knit a sweater in a month, and I did it last year. Wanted to do it this year, was unable to, because even though I cast off a sweater, I didn't have the yarn for the next project I wanted to do. So I looked at a variety of other projects for the yarn I do have. One of them was the Acclaim by Lisa Much. And I know that Jody, the Grocery Girls, loves her and has knit quite a few of her patterns. And I really like that, and I think that I have some sport weight yarn that'll work well with it. So that's my next cast on. As soon as I finish my campsite shawl, I'm trying to limit I don't want all shawls on my needles at one time. I'd like to get a sweater in the mix, hat, something. So the next sweater that I want to do is the Cozy Cable Hooded Cardigan. I've also been looking at other cardigans. My knit group friend, Christy, is knitting the Portage by Melissa Shoshwary. I know I butchered the name, sorry. And I love how it's turning out. So of course I want to knit one now too. So again, I've been eyeing what type of yarn I'd like to use for those. I have been looking at the Grace cardigan by Rico. So I really think a cardigan is what I would like to do next. And one of those three, unless anybody has some other good ideas, gonna pick one of those three, purchase the yarn for it, and cast on. And as soon as this shawl's done, I plan on casting on the Gleam. So I have a plan. Yay! I have made no acquisitions since the last podcast. As I stated, I've had a lot recently. And my next one, I'm going to be smart about, and is going to be the sweater quantity to match up with one of my favorite cardigan patterns. That's it for On the Needles. I do have a spinning project. I finished plying my Into the World in Fathom colorway. It's Cheviot. I have not washed and thwacked it yet. But I love this. Let me. My rings are snagging. Is that not beautiful? Can you see the blues in there? There's some turquoise pops that's not really coming out. Some green for the kelp. It's just, so some of the turquoise coming out better now. I had a lot of fun spinning it. Cheviot is a little rougher. Not quite next to skin, I wouldn't say, maybe for me. I don't know what I'll do with it. Maybe a hat. I don't know if I could handle it on my forehead. And around my ears. But I love the colorway. I'm not sure how much yardage I have. Probably a couple hundred yards. There's only a 4-ounce braid. So I will have to decide what I want to make with it. So that's the spinning that I've gotten done recently. As far as under the needles, again, I have nothing. I've gone to my Joe's Little Women quilt class, but I have not finished any of the projects that we've been working on. Nothing for in the garden or in the bee yard. It's for off topic. Like I haven't been talking off topic half the time anyway. Sorry. My sister's gonna love me for this again too, but Christmas is coming. I bought another recorder for my middle niece so that we all have one, because I'd bought one for her older sister and for myself to practice, but you know, she wanted to be included, so she would use the one I got for myself, and then I wouldn't have a recorder to show them on. So I got her a pink recorder so she has her own now too. And when the youngest gets old enough, she'll get her own recorder too. Or maybe a set of drums. Best aunt ever! We had a great dinner out with the ladies last week, the week before. We get together as a group of friends once a month and have dinner, and the guys have been going out and having guys' night, and so we had a ladies' night. And one of the questions that came up was, how did you become a feminist? Like, what did your mother teach you? How were they views you developed? And none of us could really point to anything specifically, just the fact that, at least for me, my parents modeled a fairly equal partnership in their marriage, and my mother always said, you can do anything you want to do. It's not being a woman that's going to hold you back. It's going to be the money. Study hard, get a scholarship. So education was always emphasized. And I think that the more educated you become, the more you do see disparities between men and women professionally, pay-wise, etc. And so you become an advocate for women's rights and equality. And basically just that our parents didn't put limits on us as what we could do as women. And we just assumed, or at least I did, I just assumed men, women, equal, both can do anything they want, be anything they want. What's the problem? Didn't see it. Until I went into engineering, and a few women, but definitely outnumbered by the men. And then I joined the military, outnumbered by men. And I was actually in a career field space and missile operations that had one of the largest percentages of females for any career field in the Air Force. So it's still kind of odd. And the thing is, nothing I did was anything that a woman couldn't do. You know, we were never told we couldn't. It was just the women weren't applying. So encourage your children, not just your girls, but your sons also, to behave and act accordingly, that anybody can be anything, can study anything, can go anywhere. Sorry. So we were talking about this at knit group on Saturday also. So I just felt like it was a really interesting topic. Led to an interesting discussion. I'd love to know your views. Did your parents, or your mother in particular, do anything specific to encourage you to succeed and to show you that women could do whatever they want? You know, what did your parents do? We all just kind of felt it was an attitude that was passed on to us as kids, that we just picked up by their behavior and continued like it was normal. So let me know. Again, you know, anything specific, any recommendations you have for or against. You know, did anything happen that turned you off from doing something? I think it's an interesting discussion. So thanks for letting me rant. What have I been watching recently? Other podcasts. I have in particular really enjoyed the Stranded podcast with Amy Florence. She is a hoot. She lives in the south of England and runs the Stranded Dye Company, sells beautiful yarn. I can never make an update. She's a beautiful dyer. Funny podcast. Encourage you to watch her. Along with that podcast, I've just been watching everybody else's Rhinebeck recaps and experiencing FOMO. I missed out. I would love to go to Rhinebeck. But, of course, didn't happen. Someday, it will. I haven't even made it up to Estes Park, and that's only 3 hours away. 4 hours. So, this June, I will make Estes Park. That's a goal. Putting it out there in the universe. Hold me to it, okay? I am also doing the flat card swap in the Yarnder Woman group. And that is Melinda from Australia. I don't normally do swaps because I always feel like a loser, or that I'm letting somebody down, that my swap isn't as good as theirs. People do such beautiful packaging and have such great ideas for items to include, and I'm just like, oh, I'll throw in the skein of yarn. Oh. You know, I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I figured the flat envelope swap I could do, because I love making cards. I have some handmade Christmas cards. It has to be flat to fit in there, so you can't do anything too heavy or too fancy. Tea isn't obvious. It's always knitters and tea. Peas in a pod. I'm trying to think of something else. Do any of you have any suggestions other than tea that I could include in a flat card swap? Obviously, I can Google it, but I'd love to hear your recommendations. And any ideas about what you would like to receive. That's all I have for today. Hope you enjoyed yourself and I didn't go off topic too much and you still stayed with me. I am Danny Girl Co. on Instagram and Ravelry, and you can find show notes at www.myhighplainslife.blogspot.com. Thanks for watching. Bye. See you next time.